All right, we're back. I'm finally talking basketball again. Lindsay talks basketball, not play some baseball. All right, here we go. So, I'm going to start this series off, and I know I'm a little bit. Series, what the fuck am I saying? I'm going to start this video off by saying, I know I'm a little late to this, but I said I would make this video, so I'm going to make this video. I haven't talked basketball in a little while. The Celtics obviously swept the Nets, and no one was expecting that. If you told me that 3 weeks ago that the Celtics would sweep the Nets, I would have told you to kick me in the balls. Um, I thought the Celtics could win the series. I didn't expect a sweep. All the games were close. However, the Celtics were in control for a lot of them. They had some luck with that first game. That game winner was just. I'm not even gonna call it luck, because what the fuck was that defensive scheme by Steve Nash? I'm gonna get into the series. I'm gonna start off by talking about Ime Udoka's defensive schemes. He ran a lot of good traps and not drop coverage, just great switching onto Kevin Durant. I have always said that you don't stop Kevin Durant. He is someone that you just contain. I was wrong. You stopped Kevin Durant. He shot 39% from the field during this series. He shot 33% from three. Did he put up 30 points a game? Yeah, he did. But he put up 30 shots. I'll take that. If Kevin Durant's putting up 30 shots and he's only putting in 30, I'll fucking take that every day. Like, I can't believe that Ime Udoka just stuck Grant Williams and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Al Horford onto Kevin Durant, and he just disappeared. Kevin Durant was just making a lot of selfish plays in Game 4. I wasn't able to catch Game 2 or 3, but Game 4, he was just not passing the ball. There was this one point around the 5-minute mark, I have it written down. Dragic made 3 3-pointers in about 2 minutes. It was on a heater. He put up 9 points in about a minute and a half. Got them back into the game. And Durant takes a double-covered mid-range shot when Dragic is wide open on the perimeter. What the fuck was that, Kevin Durant? You can't be doing that. Like, you need to feed the open man. But the defensive schemes by Udoka were nuts. He shut down Durant. Durant looked lost. He had no option. And I'm going to move on to this. Has segued me into KD and Kyrie sucking. Kyrie had one game this series. Let's be honest. He put up like 30 or 40 in the first game, and I think he had combined 40 in the next 3. He was horrible. He did not show up, and I don't want to hear the bullshit of, oh, he's fasting. That is his choice to fast. That is not an excuse. Hakeem Olajuwon won Finals MVP while fasting. Put up ridiculous stats while fasting. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played while fasting. There are plenty other players in the league that play while fasting. This is not an excuse. This is Kyrie Irving's decision. It is not an excuse to be dog. That's all I'm going to say about it. He was horrible. I'm going to talk about Kyrie. I'm going to get a little bit of rant off. He's just a locker room cancer. I would be done with him. I am all out on Kyrie Irving. I've been all out on Kyrie Irving. He just isn't worth what he brings. What he brings is a top 5 point guard in the league. But he also ruins your entire locker room. So it's just not worth it. I would never want Kyrie Irving on my team anymore. Just never. He's not there for your team. I don't know which Kyrie I'm getting on any day. Am I getting moody, pouty Kyrie, or am I getting the Kyrie that is in Game 7 of the Cavs Warriors? I don't know. But Durant didn't shoot well. Kyrie didn't shoot well. Really, the only fucking plus was Dragic. Dragic was amazing in this series. And I know a lot of Mavs fans were wanting to get Dragic, and I didn't see it. A lot of people were saying, like, oh, let's trade people for him. And I would never trade anybody for Dragic at this point. He was going to get bought out, and he got bought out. And he signed with the Nets because he wanted a ring. He got swept. But I understand the Dragic narrative now. He just shows up in the playoffs. And I've known that he does have statistically one of the, if not the best fourth quarter in playoffs history. Shout out to Steve Nash and Goran Dragic on the Suns, where Dragic made Steve Nash sit on the bench in a game like 6 during the fourth quarter because he just wanted to hear. He was making all of his shots. He was making plays. I didn't think they played him that much in the regular season, but he played a lot in the playoffs, and he just facilitated that offense so well. I don't think that, he was the biggest plus from that series. I didn't think he had that left in his tank, and I was wrong. All right, we're going to talk about Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton has done something that you never want to do, and that is beat a Shaq free throw line record. Nick Claxton missed 10 free throws in a row in a playoff Game 4 elimination game where they lost by 4. Nick Claxton needed to shoot 40% from the free throw line, and this game would have been tied. Claxton shot 4 for 22 over the series. And the margin of victory over the 3 games, or over the 4 games is, what is that? 1, 7, 8, fucking 6. So, 14, and then another 4, 18 points. How many free throws did he miss? 18. 18 fucking free throws. Nick Claxton literally is the reason every game, I don't know if this is distributed across the games evenly, but Nick Claxton makes up 18 points from the free throw line. And no one's fucking perfect from the free throw line. Don't get me wrong. So that's not a fair response. However, and I just did that math now, so I'm kind of shocked about it. That's why I'm freaking out about it. Okay, but what the fuck happened, dude? You can't be beating Shaq records on the free throw line in Game 4. Shaq at least showed up from the free throw line a bit in the playoffs. The hack of Clax was insane, and I like Nick Claxton. I think he's a good defender. I think he runs the rim well. I think he sets decent enough screens. I think he does big man stuff well enough. But what the fuck? How the fuck does that happen? You can't let that happen. Alright, I'm not going to settle on Nick Claxton too long. I just had to bring that up. What the fuck? Alright, Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin in Game 4 was a difference maker. I don't know how it took Steve Nash. Basically, all of these stats are from Game 4. He barely played in game. He played 2 games, and I think it was Game 1 and Game 4. And he barely played in Game 1. How did it take Steve Nash 4 fucking games to realize that Blake Griffin might have been a difference maker in this series? I know Blake Griffin isn't the player he used to be. Not by any means. He's lost athleticism. He is not the greatest defender anymore. Never really was. But he has changed his role to do dirty work. And the Nets needed dirty work this series. They just really did. And when he stepped in, he was setting screens. He was playing hard. He was scrapping. And he fought and got the Nets back to a 2-point game. He opened up a lot of shots for everybody. He gave a lot of people open shots. He was setting good screens. He set a lot of screens for Goran Dragic, who scored. He didn't put up much points, but I attribute a lot of that comeback to Blake Griffin. He just played really well. Every time I was looking on the court watching defense, I saw Blake Griffin doing something. And that's always a good thing, is when you make me notice you. So I think Blake Griffin should have been playing for the whole series. He was a lot better, and I don't think Blake Griffin's that good of a basketball player anymore. He's not what he used to be. He's a shell of his former self. But he played well. And then I'm going to go on to the Goran Dragic comments. I don't know if everybody saw this, but Dragic said something along the lines of, every day there was something different, and it was something hard in that locker room. And I'm just going to blame that on 2 people. Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons. I don't think that Kyrie is a good locker room presence. I said that earlier. I think he's a cancer. I would want him off my team if I had him. And Ben Simmons, look, Ben Simmons is still a good basketball player. I will stand by that. I will die on this hill. But he's a fucking pussy. I'm sorry. He is a fucking pussy. And he would not have changed this series. People are giving them an excuse they didn't have Ben Simmons. They're putting all the blame on Ben Simmons. Nets losing 6. I'm sorry. Like, I hate to say it. Ben Simmons, I like Ben Simmons. He doesn't shut down Tatum well enough. He does. He fucking tortures Tatum, probably on defense. But Jaylen Brown then steps up. Marcus Smart steps up. Derek White steps up. The series would not have been much different. Just though it would have boiled down to a little bit more defense, and Simmons probably would have given you 4 or 5 points every game, negative. So like he would have been a difference maker, probably +5. I still think that the Nets lose in 6. I think Celtics takes this series no matter what. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what's up with him in the Celtics. Does he not like Kyrie? I don't know. They need to play him as a power forward. They need to run him as a big. That's what they need to do. That's what he is. That's just my whole thing on Ben Simmons. We're going to move on to the future of the Nets. And I said this thing during the game. And I don't know. It's not definitely true. It's definitely not true, but it's a little funny. Did the Nets repeat in history? Did they repeat history? They traded for aging stars and Kevin Durant. Well, they didn't trade for them. They signed aging stars, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and then traded for an aging star. Gave up 3 picks, pick swaps, an all-star, and Taurean Prince. All-star was Jared Allen. And they got James Harden, who was a cancer in the locker room, or maybe Kyrie was the cancer in the locker room. I don't know who's the problem there. James Harden's had problem in every team he's been on, so I'm going to assume they're both bad. And so they gave up 3 picks, signed a star that has attitude issues, had this aging core with some young pieces around it, and didn't do shit with it. Does that sound familiar? That almost sounds like Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Brook Lopez, and Darren Williams, doesn't it? Yeah, just a little bit. But I'm going to move on. They got to fire Steve Nash. I don't think Steve Nash is a bad coach. Oh, back to that point. They also hired a Hall of Fame point guard as their coach both times, and Steve Nash and Jason Kidd. Just repeated history. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, back to Steve Nash. Steve Nash, I don't think he's a bad coach. I never thought Jason Kidd was a bad coach either. I think definitely with these Hall of Fame point guards, you have to learn to coach because you can't do what you did on the court as a coach. It has to be different. I bet Steve Nash is a decent player manager, and I don't know anything about that. And I don't think you fire Steve Nash because he's a bad coach. Something has to change. Someone has to take the fall, and sadly, that's Steve Nash. Steve Nash is going to be gone by the end of by next season. Who the fuck do they hire? I don't know. Fucking hire some goddamn pylon. Fucking hire Ty Lue. Ty Lue's on the Clippers, and he's proven to me he's not a pylon. But hire some pylon, some peon. It doesn't matter. Nash is gone. It's done. Nets were a travesty. This whole year, they had problems. They had injuries, sure. That locker room has to be a fucking nightmare. It's got to be like walking into the goddamn Kim Kardashian house and just fucking witnessing it. Like, if I could sit down in that Nets locker room for one day and be a fly on the wall, I would pay a lot of money for that. Nets are bad. They stunk it up. Celtics played really well. Jason Tatum went off. They didn't even need Robert Williams to beat the Nets. I guess I'm just going to end this video here. This is more of a rant than anything. What the fuck? Just what the fuck? Alright, I'm out.